I walked into a quantum computing lab at Stanford last month. Out of 12 researchers, 9 were Chinese nationals, brilliant minds, publishing groundbreaking papers, and I thought, this is American innovation at its finest. But then someone asked me a question that stopped me cold. When do they go home? Not if they're helping America, when they're helping too much. MIT's AI lab and Tsinghua University, same experiments, same journals, same breakthroughs, one American flag, one Chinese flag. America isn't just educating China's future, it's funding it. $15 billion in tuition, 370,000 students. And nobody wants to ask what happens after graduation. Because the real question isn't about loyalty, it's about something nobody wants to admit. Let me take you through a typical day at MIT. 9 a.m., quantum physics lecture. The professor is American. Out of 20 students, 15 are Chinese. 2 p.m., AI ethics seminar. Same pattern. 6 p.m., synthetic biology lab. The lead researcher, American. Her entire team, Chinese PhD candidates. This isn't an anomaly. This is American STEM education in 2025. 370,000 Chinese students are studying in the United States right now, the largest foreign student population in American history, larger than all European students combined. And here's what makes it different. 70% are in STEM fields: artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biotechnology, aerospace engineering, the fields that will define the 21st century. Now let's talk about money. The average Chinese graduate student pays $50,000 a year in tuition. 370,000 students times $50,000. That's $18.5 billion flowing into American universities every year. At Harvard, MIT, Stanford, Columbia, Chinese students make up 15 to 20% of total tuition revenue. Remove that, you're not cutting a program. You're shutting down entire departments. American universities are financially dependent on Chinese students, and that creates a problem when national security and institutional survival point in opposite directions. Let me give you context. During the Cold War, Soviet scientists studying in America, hundreds, maybe 1,000 at most. We tracked them, we monitored them, we assumed they were intelligence assets. The scale was manageable. Today, 370,000. That's not a spy program, that's a migration. And most of them aren't spies. Most of them are brilliant kids who want to study at the best universities in the world. Let me tell you about one. Li Wei, 28, from Shenzhen. PhD candidate at Berkeley studying synthetic biology, dreams of curing cancer, 6 papers in top journals. His professors call him one of the most talented researchers they've ever seen. He wants to stay in America, but Li Wei is on a watch list. Why? His undergraduate advisor in China has connections to the People's Liberation Army. Connections Li Wei didn't know about, has never met. But the association is enough. Every grant he applies for gets extra scrutiny. Every conference he attends gets flagged. Is Li Wei a security risk? Maybe, probably not, but we don't know. Here's what nobody wants to admit. Most Chinese STEM students in America are not spies. They're students, learning, publishing, collaborating, and then they graduate. They want green cards. They want to work at Google, SpaceX, the national labs. They want to build the future here. But America's immigration system says no. The wait time for a green card, 10 years, sometimes longer. So they go home. Not because they want to, not because China recruits them, but because we give them no choice. The irony, the talent we're afraid of losing, we're pushing it away. China doesn't need to steal our scientists, we're handing them over, wrapped in a diploma, funded by American taxpayers, trained in American labs. Let's be clear about the stakes. Ban Chinese students from STEM entirely, American universities lose billions. Research labs lose their workforce. 40% of STEM PhD candidates are Chinese. Remove them and you're gutting American innovation. Keep the doors wide open. Don't screen, don't monitor, don't ask hard questions. Then yes, there's a real security risk. Some students will go home and apply what they learned to technologies that could be used against us. This is the dilemma nobody wants to talk about. We can't afford to keep them, and we can't afford to send them away. Let me ask you something. If a Chinese scientist trained at MIT publishes groundbreaking research, who owns it? MIT, America, China, or science itself? This is not a theoretical question. This is the question at the heart of what's been called the biggest scientific espionage operation in history, and it has a name, the Thousand Talents Plan. China launched it in 2008. The pitch was simple: come home. We'll pay you more than America ever will. We'll give you lab funding America can't match. We'll give you respect America won't give you. And most importantly, we'll give you a green card in 6 months. Not 10 years, 6 months. It worked. Let me tell you about Charles Lieber. In 2008, he was one of the most respected scientists in America, pioneer in nanoscience, chair of Harvard's chemistry department, published hundreds of papers, mentored dozens of PhD students, the kind of scientist America should be protecting. Then, in 2011, China made him an offer: $50,000 a month, $150,000 in living expenses, $1.5 million in lab funding. All he had to do was consult for the Wuhan University of Technology a few months a year. Perfectly legal, happens all the time. Professors consult for foreign universities, British universities, German universities. Nobody bats an eye. Lieber said yes. Fast forward to January 2020. The FBI arrests him at Harvard in his office. The charge? Not espionage, not stealing secrets, not transferring classified research, lying. Lying about his participation in the Thousand Talents Plan, lying about the money China paid him. That's it. December 2021. Charles Lieber is convicted, sentenced to house arrest. Not prison, house arrest. Because even the judge acknowledged the man didn't steal anything. He didn't betray his country. He didn't fill out the right paperwork. The crime wasn't stealing secrets. The crime was not filling out paperwork correctly. Now let me give you some numbers. Since 2018, the FBI has opened a new China-related investigation every 10 hours. Every 10 hours. Between 2019 and 2022, over 2,000 researchers left American universities. Some because they were under investigation, most because they were terrified of being next. The Department of Justice called it the China Initiative. The idea was to catch spies. Here's what they actually caught. Less than 1% were convicted of espionage. The rest? Grant fraud, tax issues, paperwork violations, technical crimes that wouldn't have been prosecuted if the defendant's last name was Smith instead of Zhang. Let me give you some historical perspective. The Manhattan Project, 1940s. America recruited European Jewish scientists fleeing the Nazis. Enrico Fermi, Albert Einstein, Edward Teller, hundreds of the greatest minds in physics. We gave them labs. We gave them funding. We gave them citizenship. And they built the atomic bomb. They won World War II. They made America a superpower. What are we doing today? The opposite. We're pushing Chinese scientists out. And where do they go? Home. To build China's quantum computers, China's AI systems, China's biotech industries. We're not protecting American science. We're building China's. Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. The Thousand Talents Plan works because America's immigration system doesn't. China offers green cards in 6 months. America takes 10 years, minimum. China offers lab funding with no strings attached. America offers grants you have to spend 2 years applying for. China offers respect. America offers suspicion. Who's really losing the talent war? And here's the kicker. The scientists who do go back to China, they're still publishing in the same journals, still collaborating on the same projects, still attending the same conferences, remotely. You can ban people from labs. You can't ban ideas from the internet. Science doesn't stop at borders. It never has. So what's the line? When does collaboration become theft? When does dual employment become espionage? If working with Tsinghua University is a crime, is working with Oxford a crime too? If taking money from the Chinese government is suspicious, what about taking money from the Saudi government or the Russian government? Where do we draw the line? The answer is nobody knows. We're making it up as we go. And in the meantime, we're destroying careers. We're scaring talent away. We're telling the world's best scientists, if you're Chinese, you're not welcome here. In 2017, a PhD student at UC Berkeley published a breakthrough in CRISPR gene editing. Precise, cheap, scalable, the kind of innovation that could cure genetic diseases. 3 years later, US intelligence flagged it. The same technique was being used in PLA bioweapon research labs. The student had no idea. She went to Berkeley to cure cancer, not to build weapons. This is what we call dual-use research, civilian breakthroughs that can be weaponized. And it's everywhere. AI, quantum computing, biotechnology, hypersonics. The technologies that will cure disease can also create pandemics. The algorithms that recommend your Netflix shows can also track dissidents. The satellites that predict weather can also guide missiles. Let me break down the spectrum. Level 1, pure civilian research, weather forecasting, climate modeling, no military application. Level 2, mostly civilian, some military potential. AI facial recognition, useful for unlocking your phone. Also useful for mass surveillance. Level 3, explicitly dual use, quantum encryption, hypersonic missiles designed for both. Level 4, pure military, nuclear warhead design, no civilian application. Here's the problem. 80% of Chinese STEM PhDs in America are working on level 2 or 3 research. Not because they're spies, because that's where the cutting-edge science is. Let me give you real examples. Stanford and Carnegie Mellon, facial recognition research, groundbreaking work in computer vision, published openly, shared freely. A few years later, that same research shows up in Hikvision and SenseTime. Chinese companies supplying surveillance technology to Xinjiang camps. The professors didn't know, the PhD students didn't intend it, but it happened. MIT, quantum entanglement research, published in Nature, celebrated as a breakthrough in physics. 2 years later, China launches a quantum satellite, unhackable communications for the PLA, same research. Different application. Caltech, aerodynamics PhD thesis on hypersonic flight. Pure science, published, defended, graduated. 5 years later, China unveils the DF-17 missile, Mach 10, nuclear capable, built using principles from American PhD research. The researchers didn't steal anything. They published, they graduated, they went home, and they applied what they learned. So what do? Ban Chinese students from AI research? That means banning them from computer science entirely. AI is everywhere now. You can't study computer science without touching machine learning. Ban them from biotech? That's half of all biology PhDs in America. Ban them from physics? Say goodbye to 40% of your quantum labs. You see the problem? If we restrict dual-use research, we're not restricting weapons research. We're restricting all advanced research. Cancer treatment uses the same gene editing techniques as bioweapons. Climate satellites use the same technology as spy satellites. Self-driving cars use the same AI as autonomous drones. There's no clean line. There never was. Here's the impossible choice. Option A, keep science open, publish everything, collaborate freely, except that some of that research will be weaponized. Option B, close science down, classify everything, screen everyone, stop collaborating, watch innovation die, and here's what we're actually doing. Option C, paranoid science. We screen everyone. We slow everything down. We trust no one. We investigate professors for not filling out forms correctly. We chase away talent. We make collaboration impossible. And in the process, we're destroying the thing that made American research great in the first place: openness. Because here's what nobody wants to admit. China doesn't need to steal our technology anymore. We're giving it away, not through espionage, through paranoia. By making it impossible for Chinese scientists to work here, we're forcing them to work there. And they're publishing in the same journals, collaborating on the same projects, just remotely. The best Chinese scientists don't want to spy. They want to publish. They want to win Nobel Prizes. They want to change the world. But if we force them to choose between doing science in America under constant suspicion or doing science in China with funding and respect, what do you think they'll choose? And once they're back in China, we can't control what they do with their knowledge. We never could. Remember that Stanford quantum lab I walked into at the beginning? Here's what I didn't tell you. That research team just published a breakthrough that could revolutionize computing. They're finalists for a Nobel Prize. And in 6 months, 7 of those 9 Chinese researchers will be forced to leave the United States. Their visas are expiring. Where will they go? Tsinghua University. Where will that Nobel Prize-winning research continue? Beijing. This is how we're losing. Let me give you some historical perspective. During the Cold War, how did America win? Not by banning Soviet scientists, by attracting them. We welcomed defectors, Hungarian mathematicians fleeing communism, Jewish physicists fleeing the Nazis, Chinese dissidents fleeing Mao. We gave them labs, we gave them funding, we gave them citizenship, and they built the Manhattan Project. They built Silicon Valley. They built NASA. They made America the scientific superpower of the 20th century. What's China doing today? They're copying our playbook, attract global talent, offer funding, offer visas, offer respect, no questions asked, no 10-year waiting periods, no suspicion. Just come build the future with us. And here's the uncomfortable truth. We're losing the talent war by abandoning the strategy that won us the last one, because we stopped being the country people dream of staying in. Let me give you some numbers. Between 2018 and 2022, over 2,000 Chinese researchers left American universities. Some were investigated. Most were just scared. They saw what happened to their colleagues and decided it wasn't worth the risk. Where did they go? China, Canada, Europe, anywhere that didn't treat them like potential criminals. What happened next? In 2023, China surpassed the United States in AI publications for the first time in history. Quantum research? China is now filing 3 times more patents than America. In 4 years, we went from leading the world to playing catch-up. We protected our secrets, but we lost our edge. So let me ask you a question nobody in Washington wants to answer. What if the real threat isn't Chinese students in American labs? What if the real threat is American students not competing with them? What if we're so obsessed with keeping China out that we forgot to keep America ahead? Because here's the choice we're actually making. Option A, closed universities, vetted talent, safe but stagnant research. Option B, open universities, managed risk, dangerous but world-leading innovation. Right now, we're choosing A by accident, and China is sprinting ahead on B. But it doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to choose between security and innovation. We need smart collaboration, not blanket bans, not paranoia, strategy. Here's a 4-point framework. First, visa reform. Right now, a Chinese STEM PhD has to wait 10 years for a green card. 10 years. That's insane. Fast-track green cards for PhDs in non-sensitive fields. 1 year, not 10. Make it easier for talent to stay, not easier for them to leave. Second, transparent funding disclosure. This is already the law. Enforce it. Make it simple. Make it clear. If you're taking money from a foreign government, disclose it. If you don't, that's fraud. But don't prosecute people for paperwork errors. Prosecute actual espionage. Third, sector-specific screening. Restrict access to classified research. Quantum encryption. Hypersonics. AI weapons. Fine. But keep basic science open. Cancer research, climate science, materials science. These aren't national security threats. They're the foundation of innovation. Fourth, collaboration frameworks. Allow university partnerships with Chinese institutions in non-sensitive areas. Clean energy, public health, agriculture, but ban partnerships with PLA-linked institutions. Draw clear lines, make them enforceable. This isn't radical. This is common sense. During the Cold War, we didn't ban Soviet scientists from studying physics. We gave them reasons to defect. Andrei Sakharov, Joseph Brodsky, hundreds of Soviet academics chose America because America represented freedom, opportunity, and the best science in the world. We didn't win the Cold War by building walls around our universities. We won by making our universities so good that the world's best minds wanted to stay. Can we do that again? Here's what's at stake. If we don't fix this, the brain drain continues. Chinese talent goes home, European talent goes elsewhere. American universities lose their competitive edge. And in 20 years, we'll look back and realize we handed China the 21st century. Not because they stole it, because we gave it away. The Cold War taught us one lesson. The country that attracts the world's best minds wins. The question is, are we still that country, or are we about to find out we're not? If this changed how you think about the university security trade-off, share it. This debate is happening in Congress right now. Most people don't know what's at stake. Drop a comment. Should the US tighten restrictions on Chinese STEM students, or should we make it easier for them to stay and build the future here? Because the playbook is being written right now. The question is, who writes it? And can we write it without losing what made America great in the first place?